Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 15, want to talk about democratization. My name is Kayla Andrena Yagiswara, and my partner is Muhammad Ilham Ramadan, and the last one, Lutfia Nuruzamani. Democratization. This dissertation focuses on the study of democratization of communication. This study is based on the notion of the absurdity according to the experience of Camus and Sartre. They both entered into communist membership and attempted to understand the state of life in his time, made him aware and feel that he did not agree with the system. And Comus made it an excuse to rebel, and Comus decided to handle moments like this was freedom. Comus did not want to be bound by any system, whereas Starte and become wrong one of many styling advocation. Comus preferred the application everyday ideas, while responsibility to concept manners. The event that affected Comus' life were the times of his tuberculosis resistance and the unexpected French resistance. After the fall of German Nazi totalitarianism, democratic capitalism and communism competed strongly for European support. Comus is former member of the Communist Party, although his intellectual affections were from the continuum of monism. He aborted many of the greatest transformations of communism because his creative wish is the best of European future. Many do not agree. The introduction of the rebel fulfills the absurdity of its head-on moment. The aim of this essay is once again to face the present reality. It's an attempt to understand the times in which we live. This could have been ignored by Comus and many people, but Comus believed that he needed to use this moment even though the long-term implications of his action were not fully understood. Ronald C. Arnett and Pat Anderson wrote, "We are not saying that one has to like or approve of certain historical moments. However, we suggest that every historic moment should be taken seriously and taken rather than neglected." Thank you.
The introduction of the rebel fulfills the absurdity of its head-on moment. The aim of this essay is once again to face the present reality. It is an attempt to understand the times in which we live. This goal has been ignored by Comus and many people, but Comus believed that he needed to use this moment even though the long-term implications of his action were not fully understood. Ronald C. Arnett and Pat Sonnenberg, we're not saying that one has to like or approve of certain historical moments. However, we suggest that every historic moment should be taken seriously and taken rather than neglected. In a philosophical, intense, and personally brutal argument, the two main points of post-preference intellectual life publicly destroyed not only 10 years of friendship, at first reluctantly and hesitantly, and then with a seemingly unbridled battle, Sartre and Camus also destroyed the political environment and its race of what was once their dream project of creating a left independent, of a relapse of press freedom issue. The issue of press freedom has actually excited since the Suharto era, with the system he created when Pak Harto was president. Press freedom has become a sensitive issue. Restrictions on the delivery of ideas from various parties are also directly monitored by the authorized institution under the supervision of the president. With these people will not have the opportunity to confide ideas, criticism, and suggestion on any matter. In the ethics and freedom of the press, even in which the general chairperson of IG Indonesia, Abdul explained several factors regarding underdeveloped press freedom. First is the problem of a corrupt system that makes that institution not function. If the system is corrupt in which the state will not look at the interests of the moment there will be no freedom of the press. In such a situation, do not expect regulation on to protect press freedom. The government instead on revising the draft criminal code RKUHP, which we consider to maintain the old article that could imprison journalists, said Abdul Thursday. The second factor for the lack of development of press freedom in this country is the problem of diswelfare of journalists in Indonesia. If the journalist's salary is not enough, he will not have enough time to concentrate on production good journalistic work. His concentration will be defied by making good meals with good food on the table, and there is money to pay for his children's schooling. So with a situation like that, poverty will affect press freedom, he said. The final factor is the emergence of various threats from various parties concerned to journalists in the case in Indonesia, which we have seen based on aegis monitoring, we are often under threat from various sides, from the regulation of journalists dealing with the criminal code and the ITE law, two articles that have been criticized because of the ease of imprisoning journalists, he said. One example of violence that occurred during the demonstration in May regarding the rejection of the RKUHP.
Threatening the fact of Najwa Shihab when accused of the provocation. After conducting interviews with the coordinating Minister of Maritime and Investment, Luhut Binsar Panjaitan, presenter Najwa Shihab became public attention. This incident organized in a discussion concerning the 2020 Pilkada, which is set to run amid the coronavirus outbreak. The first, Luhut Binsar Panjaitan, confirmed that he would follow the instructions of the President of the Republic of Indonesia, Joko Widodo, regarding the implementation regarding to the implementation of the 2020 election. However, Luhut continued to provide confirmation that there would be no new COVID-19 cluster to the president. So what do we want to do? And the president agrees. We are proposing the KPU, General Election Commission, and Bawaslu letter, and also to the policy so that the campaign will be limited, he said. In one segment, Najwa presented a campaign video in which the video contained the fact that the implementation the implementation of the campaign was not in accordance with the health protocol that had been described by the president. He was also accused that Najwa Shihab did not agree with the implementation. He is also accused of being the provocateur of the problems that occur in the video. 3. Conclusion. The conclusion we get after observing and digesting the democracy process according to the experience and the problems of Camus and Sartre in European system is also the problem that occurred in Indonesia, that the leadership they want and live more leads to individual freedom than to be tied to the system that has been assigned to them. They prefer the individual path because they want to improve the welfare of their respective countries, but they do not get support from their surroundings. They still accept the system that has been set, but for the process of traveling they prefer a leadership system that, that they organize themselves. This is also related to the issue of justice in which among these problems there is violence, not only violence through criticism, but also physical violence, which causes many victims. Freedom of choice and opinion is not a real problem. What is questionable and what gives rise to it is freedom that crosses the boundaries of well enforced provision. There are still some people who are not concerned with fleeting interests. They will not last long if they are not in harmony with the real situation. In a government, also, if it is not accordance with the real situation, what happens is the government itself, which has destroyed the system that had it created, even causing a rebellion of Jews, because the government that do not really prove that the promise that cause unrest and questions in the community. 4. Suggestion. The state as a policymaker both at the central and region levels must pay attention to and implement the values of leadership properly. 2. Examine carefully the problems and decisions to be made. 3. The government as soon as possible handles wisely the problems that occur then makes synchronous regulation on the leadership system as well as the community and takes fair action against the perpetrator who use violence. 4. The government must firmly protect and grant freedom of opinion and choice of right. 5. Establish regulation to protect those interests of values while making effort as far as possible in accordance with existing laws. 6. Prioritizing the interests that are needed by states of any society. 7. Properly discussing how the impact is given when leadership decisions are made. The principal aim to identify what the impact has been and whether it has been able to adjust to the actual situation. This identification is important because it will become a measure of whether new regulations are needed to support the new provision. The last one, the community is wise in responding to the problems that occur. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.